Welcome to the Whisky Bothy. Malt Mates, I'm Ralphie, I'm your host. This is review number 1103 and I am reviewing Benromach Contrasts. And this is the organic version. It's distilled in 2015, bottled in 2024. It is a 9-year-old certified organic single malt whisky. And these are very unusual to find. Let's pour a glass and let's get stuck into this review. In the extras, which is coming up shortly, I will kind of discuss a little bit of forensics and give you a little bit of overview as regards organic single malt whisky, what you can be expecting, what you're likely to find and what you can tell from the experience. But specifically for this review, I'm going to focus on this Benromach, its smell, its taste, and of course I shall conclude with a malt mark. So here's the whisky, and it's unpeated. And when you put your nose in the glass, you get something which is relatively sweet but quite aromatic, so the sweetness doesn't dominate too much. And also, it's full flavoured on the nose. Now, this may seem a contradiction because how can something be flavoured unless you're actually tasting it? But it's really the sensation of the experience of nosing a whisky prior to tasting it. That's where the sensation is. Even running the glass around in my hand, having literally less than a minute after having poured it, the whisky's opening up already. This is young, it's quite grain zesty, and it is a really interesting and very well made whisky, which is exactly what we expect from Benromach Distillery, because at that distillery they really know what they're doing. But a word of warning, be careful which versions of Benromach you buy, because this is a distillery that produces excellent bottles of whisky, but puts them side by side in its own portfolio with branded, super branded versions at 43% and chill filtered. So you've got to be aware of this. There's very, very mixed signals comes from the owners of Benromach Distillery, despite the fact that this distillery is one of Scotland's easily top 10. In terms of the quality of what they produce, they're outstanding. But fortunately for us, not too many people know about that. Otherwise, the prices would probably go up a bit. You know what I mean. The nose is opening up with soft apricot, quite biscuity, grain-rich, slightly toffeed, and very full on the nose. Flavour wise, and I'm just going to give you the bottling strength here now at 46%. 46% is the first sign that we've got something which is unchill filtered. So delighted to see it at that strength and not 43%, where they would be chill filtering it and denaturing the experience, reducing the experience, diminishing the experience, because that's what chill filtration does. Now, fine for the passive consumer, but you're watching a whisky video, you're not being passive. You want to know what the good whisky is. That's why you're here. You're taking an interest. First impression, toffeed, caramelised, grain rich and slightly green woodsy notes. And this can be explained by the fact that being a certified organic whisky, it is matured in virgin there's nothing X about it, virgin American oak casks. So you may be wondering, hey Ralphie, if this is natural colour, why is the colour so dark? because there's no previous content to influence the colour. And the answer is very, very simply, it's down to the tannins in the wood. The majority of the colour you're seeing in that whisky, all of the colour's coming from the wood, but specifically it's the tannins. It's the colourant, the natural colourant inside the wood itself, which is providing the colour into the whisky, because the solvency of the spirit is drawing it out of the wood. This has probably gone into cask at roughly 63 to 64% alcohol. So that's quite strong enough to have interaction with the wood without it being too aggressive, as you would find at 72 or 75% alcohol. Right, I'm going to add a drop of water to this. Why? Because it absolutely needs it. The quality of the grain used is very good. Full flavoured. It's worth noting, and I'll cover this in the extras coming up shortly. See that? What an endorsement as to the fullness of flavour, that I'm adding not just 1 soda spoon of water, but 2. So that's 2 times 5 millilitres of water. And you should be seeing a little bit of Scotch mist appear in the glass shortly. I'll stick it at the front of the barrel so you can see it. I'll just give you a bit more information as regards the bottle. Where's my steampunker? If you're reading, it doesn't matter if you've got good eyesight. Whisky labels have a very fine tradition of using impossibly small writing, and in particular they use impossibly small writing in metallic colours, so it's even harder to read the label. This is a very serious habit that the whisky industry is in no rush to discontinue. You'd think they'd have more consideration for people who are visually impaired, but they don't, and this applies to all the Scotch whisky industry. Here it says on the side of the label, non-chill filtered. It says that, here we go, it's fully UK Soil Association accredited. Benromach Organic is matured in a virgin American oak and gives sweet, malty notes with creamy pepper, banana, coffee and cocoa flavours. Well, I don't actually agree with the tasting notes, but a tasting of a whisky is a very personal experience. If you find your experience is not matching up with the tasting notes on the label, don't worry about it. They're just there for general guidance. And it also gives you an age statement here of 9 years in oak casks. It's saying that the world's first certified organic single malt Scotch whisky since 2006. And funnily enough, the last company to produce a certified organic whisky was Bladnoch. Back in the days of the Armstrong family ownership. And I remember talking to the proprietor Raymond at the time. He and his team had put in a huge amount of work to actually prepare the casks, to draw samples, to entertain the acquisitiveness and, I won't say interference because they're just doing their job, but the Soil Association do inspections, they do their checks, and of course they do charge producers for accreditation. And it's not an insignificant amount of money either. So I have some insight now, historical insight, from the last time that certified, officially Soil Association certified organic whisky was produced. The one thing that I would draw your attention to is that they're not using standard grain here. The grain has to be organic grain, which means although there is a use of pesticides, herbicides, fertilisers in the production of the grain, they are not as acute as those that are used in standard industrial volume scaled malt barley production. So if you're looking at a label that says local barley, such as you'll find with Springbank and Bruichladdich, when you see certified organic, it actually has a kind of, coming from a different direction, it has a similar meaning. It has a similar relevance, because what you're getting is arguably a lower yielding grain produced in a longer growing season with less delivery of alcohol per tonne of grain used, which means at the end of the day, we're actually getting more flavour out the yield in compensation for less alcohol. Are you with me? Good. Let's have a nose at this. A little bit, just a touch of Scotch mist appearing now. On the nose, soft, light, fruity, slightly savoury, umami, syrupy. So there's quite a lot going on here. It's quite an understated whisky, but it's a busy one at the same time. And on the nose, quite honeyed. Taste-wise, a wonderfully lingering, soft arrival. Very much full Benromach signature. Very clearly Benromach. It's got that all-round complexity going on, and it's got that extra sensation richness to the result, which is often engineered out of the more corporate whiskies, simply because the corporations need to do it to sell their product to as diverse and as wide a range of passive consumers as possible. The development becomes in a almost ginger, in jars of ginger and syrup. That's going on. There is a tang of virgin oak, but it never gets sappy. It never gets intrusive, because it's always held at bay for two reasons. One is the substance of character coming from the grain itself in the spirit going into the cask, and secondly, it's the actual quality of the oak wood being used in the fabrication of the cask in the first place. That's important. It's highly important, but it never seems to get much thought, unfortunately, although mindsets are changing as people choose to be more informed about what they're actually experiencing, because in doing so, it explains what we're experiencing. It settles down, becomes softer. It becomes a little bit shorter. So I would recommend, if you buy a bottle of this, just add a drop of water initially. I think already now I've added just a fractional bit too much water. Not for the first time, by the way, but frankly, I don't care. I am enjoying it completely, but some of the intensity has now subsided a little bit too quick. Not that I've drowned it, but I was looking to chase out the Scotch mist, which is appearing a little bit, but not really as much as I might have expected. But it is there. This is definitely non-chill filtered. If you're looking for the natural colour, it does say so on the box. Somewhere. Where's my pen? Oh, the niece needs to can get us a bit of chalk. It says it here somewhere. Where does it say it? I saw it, and it should be on the label, natural colour, but it isn't. Found it. It's that gold metallic writing again. It's down. at the bottom of the container. But we don't need that anymore. That can be recycled under firelighters. We've reached that moment, malt mates, for the malt mark. What am I going to give it? I'm going to give it a very respectable 83 out of 100. And there you are, malt mates. So pop back again for my next review, which will be coming along just shortly. And it's review number 1103 Extras, in which I will be doing for some forensics on what you can expect from organic whisky and where you will find it. Look forward to seeing you there. Bye-bye. No, we're still going. My clicker's not clicking, it's not working. I'll try again.